Welcome back, everybody. We're over here at Mount Tammany Ridge, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of stuff in here in the garage. We, unfortunately, over here in northern New Jersey, we are absolutely getting buried in snow. We're starting to get a little bit nervous because we're not even sure we're going to be able to open our doors. So yeah, we're gonna be hanging out in here, and not a whole lot else going on. So I'm gonna take the opportunity to kind of make like a little, I don't want to call it really a review, but I have a bench top chainsaw chain sharpener, and it's just a little Harbor Freight doohickey, and for me so far it's worked pretty well. So I'm going to take you along with me while I go over there and get the chain set up in there, and we're going to get going around the new chain. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to touch that up with the file, or put that also in the bench top sharpener, but we'll have to see. I'm not 100% sure I want to go that far with the new chain. Yesterday I did hit a little bit of dirt a couple times, prepping myself for another day of log splitting. So it did start to cut a little less aggressively toward the end yesterday. So I might run through that with the file real quick. We'll have to see how much time I want to put into the video. Maybe I'll put you through like a little bit of a time lapse of me goofing around with that too. So yeah, let's get into it and show you what this little bench top thing's all about. All right, everybody, so we're over here at the bench. I was just about to put the chain on here, but I decided before I just throw it in there and start recording, I wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of an idea, of the quality level, I guess, for lack of better terms. So I just grabbed a decking screw here because it was the thing nearest to me. So down here, you got these two little metal plates, and the I call them like dorsal fin type deals on the back side of the chain. You can see right there. Okay, those drop down in there, and it serves as a rail system, so to speak. So they go down in between. Now, if you're not careful when you buy this thing, when I bought it, I had already, I was fortunate enough to, to see that this was two separate pieces, and I came to the conclusion that obviously the chain would go in between there. But I hadn't used it in so long that a neighbor friend of mine, which happens to also be a neighbor Doug, a different neighbor Doug, but a neighbor Doug nonetheless. And he comes over every once in a while to sharpen up his chains, just because it is a little bit easier than using a file. So I was kind of, curious. There was one time I was over his place not long after he had sharpened the chains, and he was over there cutting something up. And I kept looking like, wow, either he hit something between the time he sharpened them and the time I came over to say what's up, or something wasn't set up right over here. And sure enough, the one day when I finally came over here to sharpen my chains, he happened to be over here as well, which he actually kind of triggered me to think about sharpening my chains that day too. So when I was watching him set it up, he was putting the chain along the side here. He wasn't putting it in between, because these, when you get a little bit of bar oil residue on there and you have the chain in between there, they stick together. So it kind of just looks like, one piece of metal sometimes. So he had it on the wrong side, and it was making the chain, the chisels, sharpen incorrectly. I'll just put it that way, I guess. Uh, so he was, his saw was, when it was cutting, seemed to be wandering off to one side, and it didn't cut well at all. So um, when I came back and realized this, I knew uh, that was the problem he was experiencing. So next time he comes over, when he's ready to do that, I'll show him, this deal here, and I think he'll feel like $1,000,000 when he starts using that saw again. So, anywho, enough about that. So that's just something to think about. You got a little adjustment knob here, and you tighten it. It's got a kind of like a floating, um, like a nut in there, and it helps you clamp down and loosen or increase the drag, clamping pressure on the chain. And this little flipper deal here, this catches the back side of the chisels. So as you pull the chain through, this comes up, drops down behind the chisel, you pull it tight, and then it kind of clamps itself in place for the sharpening process. I'm going to get a little bit of a different angle, a couple different angles here as I'm doing this, so that you guys can actually see how this mechanism here works. I haven't used a whole bunch of chain sharpeners. I think there was one or two other different ones that I've used in the past. Again, it was so long ago that I can't remember, if any of this stuff here is like a general, kind of like a part of the tools that kind of have to be, how can I say, standardized throughout the whole. Yeah, I don't know if it's like a standard thing on all sharpeners. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. So let's get to it, and I'll stop rambling. Sometimes getting these little dorsals in between those plates can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. So where did that marked tooth go? So I try to make it a habit of marking a tooth. All right, where'd you go now? Must have started pulling the wrong direction. Make a habit of marking one of the teeth on the chain so that I have a start and stop point. I like to use like a white, marker for, doing metal work. But sometimes I can't find it and I get stuck using like a permanent Sharpie, which works just as well. I mean, something's better than nothing. It's just not as easy to see. All right, where'd this thing go? That's one thing about sharpening chainsaw chains. The longer the chain you have, the longer it takes. And it's always one of those things where, it just seems like it keeps going and going. You're always in the mindset like, are we there yet? Looks like I got a little bit of dirt on it somewhere along the line. That's what it looks like. Yeah, that's it for sure. So, on these chisels for the on these things, these chainsaw chains, they have there's a score line on the chisel that shows you the angle that you need to have either your file cutting at or your stone on your chainsaw, your benchtop grinder. So I try not to take off too much meat. I really don't care to do that. I like to try to get as much as I can out of these chains. So I don't know if you can even see over here. Let me check before. Okay, yeah, you can see what the other hand's doing. So with my right hand, I'm pulling down on the chain here to pull the backside of this chisel tight up against this. It's like a parking paw, right? And a transmission. So, um, that's what I do to make sure that that thing stays where it is, and I get a true and honest, even amount of sharpening for each one of these teeth. So, um, so when you change the which chisel you're doing, right? So right now I'm doing the ones that are angling this way, and then for me to change that, I don't move the sharpening stone. I move this piece. So I'll bring it, like I don't know, like 20 degrees this direction, or probably even far less than that. Might be like 10 degrees. So, but that's how this whole deal works. So I'm gonna get this thing fired up. It's probably gonna be really loud. I'm gonna turn my lapel mic off so that it's not really really loud. So let's get through it. All right, everybody, we're back at the bench, or I should say the other bench. We're gonna mark this one here. Now this is the new chain. This was the one I've been using for probably the past, I don't know, I think I've put this through a cord so far. And this is the first time it's going to be touched here on the bench. So the other one that I just sharpened on the bench grinder was that was the original one that I started doing this whole firewood thing down here by the barn. That's the one I've been using from the beginning. And you might remember I used this contraption here, which is a Husqvarna version of the one that Steel has. And I kind of have mixed feelings about it. It's not something that I think you would use every time you sharpen, because I think it promotes premature wear of your rakers. It has you filing down your rakers for every sharpening when you don't necessarily need that. I think that's what I was experiencing on the other chain before. So with this one here, this has a different style of raker. This might be like an anti-kick style raker. It's kind of bent over almost at a 90 degrees. The other one was just a little stub of metal that stuck up, and you can stuck up in the air, and you could just file the top of it off and only take off a little bit of metal. But I think that thing took off too much too soon. So we're going to try to do this without touching the rakers on this new chain here, and hopefully I'll have some good results hand filing this out. I hope my head's not sticking. Okay, good. Concerned my head was blocking you guys from seeing. I figure I should probably get used to hand filing chains, because I'm not always going to be in the luxury of my garage. I should vise here making all this happen. So I could be wrong by doing this the way I'm doing it. I'm certainly filing at the angle that I'm supposed to according to the hash mark on there. I've heard some guys say, you know, try to hit it the same amount of times for every single chisel. I've heard some guys say it doesn't matter. I'm just kind of going with what the chisel's telling me. You know, not all the chisels are hitting dirt or rock. And, you know, some of them are going to require more attention than the others. And I'm also looking at how much pitch, or I'll say tree sap, build up in the throat of the chisel. And I kind of want to remove all that too. So I'm kind of going off of that a little bit. So Buck and Billy Ray, if you're watching this, you got to tell me if I'm doing this wrong, man. Well, all right, everybody. I scurried my way through that. Hopefully, the results are good. We'll just have to see how it goes. Like I said, I kind of out of my wheelhouse when it comes to hand sharpening. I know many years back, you know, we hand sharpened, but we were just kids, you know, and you know, we didn't know our butt from our elbow. So, you know, you know, I'm sure we made it a little bit sharper than it was after we hit a rock, but I can't imagine we did all that great a job. So, but the bench grinder definitely makes a huge difference for me. But like I said, I'm just going to have to get myself used to, you know, getting some form of hand sharpening down. That way, you know, if I'm out in the woods or something and I run out of spare chains, I can at least touch up a chain to get me through a day or an afternoon. So anyway, so yeah, right now we're getting blitzed. Like I said, I'm not really sure what we're gonna do. We went to the grocery store and the shelves were bare, and understandably, because we are absolutely getting buried. We can't get out any of the back doors. The wind is drifting. The snow is so high. You know, my neighbor's yard, you know, a lot of the snow from his yard came over to ours, and we're a little panicky. You know, don't really know what to do. But I'm sure we'll get through it. So I think that's going to wrap up today's video. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, and that would be great. It really does help us get out there. It doesn't cost anybody anything. Also, before I end the video, I wanted to say welcome to several new subscribers. I have not had an opportunity to find out you know, where they're from or anything like that. So if you could send a comment, you know, let us know roughly where you're from. And it'd be really interesting. I've been looking at the analytics, and I'm getting some followers from over the pond, and I believe we got Scotland, and we've got, I think, some in Turkey. We got some in the Philippines. So yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see that that I'm getting people to subscribe and follow me from that far away, and it's pretty exciting to watch those changes happen. So the channel's slowly growing, and but it's growing, and that's a lot of fun. That really is an exciting thing for me. So again, from all of us here at Mount Tammany Ridge, thank you very much for hanging out with us and watching our videos. And we'll see you on the next one.